Look who it is, former Yankee great, Willie Randolph, of course, once was the manager of the Mets. Willie, thanks so much for dropping by. It's great to meet you.
Good
Thanks
to be here.
much.
Good to be here. Have a little fun today. Yeah.
So when you check out the Yankees right now, 5 games out of first despite all the injuries, how have they been able to do it?
It's amazing. I mean, to think about
Lead the division by 5 games, obviously, not 5 games out of first.
But just to be where they are right now, starting from spring training, with all the expectations, and to have all the injuries just flock the way they did, it's really a testament to the organization, how they're able to stockpile depth, good solid players, and have these kids step up. Because, you know, it's one thing to step into a situation, especially in New York, but to produce is a different thing. And these young kids have hit, it's almost like hitting pay dirt, but the Yankees are obviously benefiting from that because it's very rare to have young kids come up and they all collectively produce the way they did. Ursula, you go back to, Gilbert Torres last year. There's so many things that they've combined. Frazier did a great job early in the season. It's very rare for these guys to step up. Herman, who they thought maybe would be a fifth starter, he ended up being their best pitcher.
That might be the biggest story, Herman. Like what he was able to do in the first half to stabilize when you had those injuries with the starters. Yes. But you spend time with the Yankees in spring training, working with a lot of these young guys. Do you see that? There's got to be something different about what they do with their development, with organizational depth, because obviously they made some trades that were allowed to get them some prospects and players that were coming up through the system. Some of them already now making the roster. But there has to be something different they do that other franchises don't, that when they do call up somebody, they step in and are ready to play.
Excellent. They do a great job preparing their guys to come up. Their minor league system, their scouts, their support staff. Nowadays you have situations where you have all kinds of strength coaches, you got all kinds of nutritional coaches, you have psychological coaches, and these guys do a great job of preparing these guys. But you have to buy into it, you know. It gives these kids credit because a lot of them come from different backgrounds, but the way they teach them to kind of play with the team mentality, it's not easy to do. So when I look at their young kids, they are nurtured the proper way. They understand the Yankee way, if you will. And then I don't know if we have enough time to go into that, but they play the game a certain way. But it's a style and it's a preparation. And when you come to New York, you have to be ready. So I think they do an outstanding job. Brian Cashman and his group have done some really good things with these young kids. But it helps to have talent too, though, Adam.
I was just going to say, it helps that they're really, really, really good. But you mentioned it right there. I think oftentimes we're talking about these great GMs, and Brian Cashman gets a bit overlooked. Obviously, in many of the years that you were around, the checkbook was quite busy when some other teams weren't. But if there are some intangibles that he has, or some things that you think are under the radar, perhaps that you could share about what makes this man so successful. I mean, again, he's held this job for a long time. You know, the GM of the Yankees. He's been here for a while.
I think one of the biggest things, he's made a big transition into the analytics nowadays, which is obviously very big. It's good to have a huge analytic department. The Yankees do have those resources. And then getting everybody to buy into what he wants to do. Again, there's so many different heads involved in that. I'm not sure about what they all do, but the big thing is having people buy into it and having a certain continuity where you have the information here and it's filtered down through the coaches, through the analytic department, and get it to the players. And the players buying into that is huge and is key to that because not all players are into that right now, and they want to just play. But to his credit, having people that can go out and scout, people in the minor leagues that can teach the fundamentals of the game, is paramount to having them come to the big leagues and having this one mindset. You talk about there's no I in team and all that stuff, but it's true. These kids do say the right things. I know I'm really impressed with how they come up in the interview. They talk about, listen, if we don't win the game, then we didn't do the job or whatever. They all pick each other up. It's a nice feeling because I get a chance to watch these kids go through that in spring training, and you can see it kind of manifest itself.
You mentioned the Yankee way, and I mean, no better guy to talk to right here, right? Well, back-to-back championships, a decade playing, and then also, to me, what's interesting is you're an infielder. So a lot of times we want to make this comparison with Judge and Jeter. We're wanting somebody to step in. To me, as an outfielder, we got a lot of time with our thoughts out there. To me, I don't think of myself as like a real baseball player. I'm an outfielder.
Like I think the big leagues you play.
Yeah, I know, But I think of you as, a middle infielder, real field general. Do you really feel that the Yankee way is still around? Do you think that it's changed a little bit? So for me, I see like a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit more. There's a bit of a different way. Has it changed? What do you feel?
Well, I know the players would love for it to change totally because
Yeah,
they want to look sexy, on the field. It's the feel about
Beards
playing.
are in.
Yeah, well,
Fernando, there you go.
This is not the Yankee way.
but that's one of the things that's not going to change. Mr. Steinbrenner, that's from the top, and the family believes in that. But I think when I talk about the Yankee way, it's just that commitment to winning, to excellence. I mean, the championship speaks for themselves, right? But you have to have players, you have to have the resources, and then when you have those players, you get them to really totally buy in. It goes back to really just being part of that collective group of guys who are not going to be selfish, totally unselfish, and just play the game the right way. So when I talk about the Yankee way, we can talk a long time about that, but basically what it means is that it's being a part of a winning legacy and having people really come in and buy into that and feeling that. Because a lot of players come to the Yankees, even former players or players that not really former players, but guys who are in the league who when they come to New York, they want to be a part of that. And Cashman talked about it when he came in recently. I can go on the line, guys who will shave their beard. Maybe that's why Keuchel didn't come here.
He was ready though. He said he had the razor ready to go. But you know what? It's very similar also to the Patriot way and the whole Belichick thing, and how teams try to replicate it. Really, you can't.
No.
It's almost like what the Yankees have is unique and not something you can, like a manager can't go, and I know you probably tried to bring a lot of things with you to the Mets, but there's only so much you can do to where people say, hey, this ain't the Yankees, right?
Right, yeah, and it's so true because again, it's a feel, it's weird, it's almost like a vibe in a way, but you have
Like,
to
is the vibe with the Mets, Willie, that much different than the vibe was with the Yankees? Is it that noticeable?
No, I wish I had more time. That vibe would have really permeated through the organization.
A lot of people wish you had more time.
Yeah, I really thought we were in the right direction.
Yeah.
We had great players. We had Pedro and Reyes and David Wright, who's one of my favorite players of all time. We had the nucleus to do it, but the patience just wasn't there. We got one pitch from going to the World Series.
Well, you had the great 06, right?
Yes.
Made it to the NLCS.
But the collapse really hurt us. And it's funny because nowadays you see a lot of collapsing in all sports, and that's just part of it. It's the baseball gods are not always good to you sometimes, But I just wish we had a little more time because I know that we were heading in the right direction. Such an honor and a privilege. I grew up a Met fan as a kid, growing up in Brooklyn, New York. So it was just an ultimate thrill for me to be able to get my team almost to the World Series. And I love Carlos Beltran, but he threw him a nasty curveball. Wainwright threw him a nasty curveball.
Looked at it though. He just looked at it.
Now it looks easier when you're
Yes, it does look easy when you're sitting at home.
Hey, I still have nightmares about it. But he's my
guy.
best player, man. But Wainwright threw him a hellacious curveball, and it just locked him, man. But I still love him. That's my boy.
How has managing changed since you last managed in 08?
Oh boy.
Oh, that's a loaded question, baby. Or whatever,
Sit back.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Willie.
There's going to be a minute.
The Yankee manager, just rolled right off the TV set, right into the perennial hot seat.
With no experience whatsoever.
Absolutely.
That's the way the game is. When I was coming through the ranks, you have to turn over lineups in the minor leagues. You have to have some coaching experience. This Aaron Boone was a sharp guy, but he had no experience. But again, he's driving a Maserati. A lot of people are driving Pintos around, Having said that, he still is a smart baseball man. He's going to be there for a long time. But the analytics have changed the game really more than anything. A lot of these young managers are really just following an order, in the way that I call it following the script in a way. Everything's laid out before the game. Absolutely. Everyone hopefully buys into it. And during the game, instead of going more with your gut and your feel for the game, it's pretty much is going with a prepared, pre-game set of what you might do or a suggestion of what you might do. Now, I'm sure there's some managers who will deviate from that. I hope there is because the game is played with a heartbeat. It's played by human beings. And at times you have to deviate from what you might see on a piece of paper to, this guy's going to come through for me. This guy's going to produce. I believe in him. I want to instill confidence in him, okay? Sometimes you win the battle to win the war, okay? So I think you have to be careful with some of that because you undermine the leadership of the manager's office when players don't think that you are really running the show.
Yeah.
There's no analytic for faith in a player. No analytic for that.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.